Hi guys, this is editorial analysis for September the 24th, 2016. Today there were no important editorials from the Hindu and Indian Express newspaper. They were all very basic in nature, so I left them. Our first editorial today will be from Hindustan Times. Some experts have been suggesting that we should abrogate the Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan after the Uri attacks as a punitive measure. This first editorial in the Hindustan Times, it talks about why taking such a step would be a very bad measure. First of all, Pakistan is a lower riparian state for us, but we are lower riparian for China. And China is where Brahmaputra originates. In case of a conflict with Pakistan, China is of course going to side with Pakistan. Secondly, any tampering with Indus Water Treaty will give Pakistan another propaganda to link it with the Kashmir issue. Thirdly, instead of mending ways, Pakistan will go on an offensive because they don't respond to punitive measures in a civilized manner. Fourthly, it is not an easy task to arrive at a water sharing agreement. It took us 20 years to reach the Ganga Treaty with Bangladesh. So according to this author, these are some of the reasons why we should not be abrogating the Indus Water Treaty. I'm just going to include a little note here what the Indus Water Treaty is. It was signed in 1960 between Nehru and Pakistan President Ayub Khan on sharing the 6 rivers Bias, Ravi, Satluj, Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. It was brokered by World Bank, and under this treaty Pakistan gets 80% of the waters. Moving on to the second editorial today. This is also from Hindustan Times. It talks about India-Afghan relations. These kind of editorials are very important from main's point of view, because often you will find one question that asks us to discuss our relations with other countries. So it says India has invested in projects worth $2 billion in Afghanistan. Every year 1500 Afghan students come to India on fellowships. Another 500 training slots are provided for officials. An additional $1 billion assistance was committed to Afghanistan during Ghani's recent visit. India is number 1 market for Afghanistan exports. Recently, Pakistan closed Afghanistan's only land route to India. Afghanistan threatened Pakistan that it will close Pakistan's routes to Central Asia. Last year, 4 Mi-25 attack helicopters were supplied to Afghanistan by us. And also there is a tremendous goodwill from Afghanistani citizens towards India. India's objectives in Afghanistan include orderly security, successful political and economic transition, and ensuring safety and security of its assets and personnel. Of course, we have to keep Afghanistan in mind all the time because we need them as allies against Pakistan. Our third editorial today is from the Hindu Business Line. It talks about the Kaveri water issues. It says that rice has a very high MSP, minimum support price. It is because of that more rice is being sown in the Kaveri Delta. Instead, the Kaveri Delta should be cultivated with ragi, which consumes much less water. Rice needs a lot of water for cultivation. Secondly, the author suggests that interlinking of rivers in the delta should be stopped because it has proved to be ecologically and economically disastrous. Thirdly, there is a need for a strong river basin organization that can take a basin level approach to water management. Fourthly, a strong centralized authority is needed for dispute resolution as against Yoginder Alag's recommendation for a decentralized one. So this is something again on the Kaveri issues. Let's go to our fourth editorial today. This is also from the Hindu Business Line. And I think it's very important because often in mains they ask questions like what we could do to solve this problem in India, what we could do to solve that problem in India. And often when you're sitting there, I have written mains 2 times in 2014 and 15, and there have been so many times when they ask for measures to solve administrative problems in India, and at that, while you're sitting there in the mains hall, you don't have anything right there in your head, because to answer such questions like that, you need time to think about it. That's when editorials like this come in handy, because they'll suggest very nice holistic measures that you can use to write a beautiful answer in mains. So this editorial from Business Line, it talks about how we can improve our educational system in India. It says that the National Assessment Survey by NCERT and the Annual Survey of Education, that is ASER, indicate very low levels of learning in India. The literacy rate in India is only 74%. So what we could do? What are some of the measures? Firstly, because of rote learning, children are unable to comprehend what they read, or they are unable to move beyond reproduction of school textbooks. So we have to remove this system of rote learning, and we have to bring in holistic education. Secondly, large percentage of children come from illiterate homes, so they have no formal exposure to education, books, or any other kind of printed material. Thus, preschool years of 3 to 5 years are critical in supporting the child's engagement in print. Thirdly, children need more space and encouragement for scribbling, drawing, listening to stories, and accessing a range of print materials, children's literature, language classrooms, etc. Fourthly, an alien language of instruction distances the child from education. Classroom must accept and respect a child's mother tongue and utilize this proficiency. Fifthly, teachers in our country are not trained for literacy instruction. What is literacy instruction? That is how to teach a child the letter sound correspondence, meaning making, and text interpretation. Sixthly, Padhe Bharat, Badhe Bharat, a document by MHRD, has recommended 2.5 hours for classes of language and literacy learning in class 1 and 2. So every day 2.5 hours must be devoted for language and literacy learning in class 1 and 2. Seventhly, we need resource equipping of teachers, teacher educators, and education administrators, functional libraries, reading corners, children's literature, etc. at the children's disposal. So these are some measures through which we can improve the learning in our children and help the education setup in this country. So that's it for today, September the 24th, 2016. Thank you.